Hi, my name's Bill Moore. I am the CEO of PacMoore. We started in 1989 when I left Procter Gamble, so we've been at this for almost 29 years now. It's been a long time since there's been another Moore in the PacMoore organization. I have been by myself as a Moore in this business for 28 years as a Moore. My mom worked for 10 years. My mom was married to my stepfather who started the company, George Meyer, so she was a Meyer. But my son has joined PacMoore this year, Kyle. And Kyle came in with 3 years of sales experience from a wonderful company here locally, and he got his bachelor's degree from Baylor in social entrepreneurship, and he's got a real heart for seeing the business community be a place for transformative impact in the community, and that's why he got his degree in that, because that's where his heart is. He's often felt he had a desire to be a pastor or in the seminary or in a theological setting, a nonprofit setting, but I think because of my influence and what he's watched us do, he's realized that the workplace is a place where we can love and care for people holistically, and spiritually can be done here as well. And he realized that you can do more here than you can in a church setting, because you're with people all day long. You have 40 hours to work with someone instead of one. And I think he understood that, and he really wanted to be a part of that. But he's also got a real heart for manufacturing and working with his hands and with people. He's always been that way. If it had a motor, or if it could fire or make noise, or if it was dirty, that's where he wanted to be. He's never been a computer guy and that type of thing. So it's been a real joy to have him in the business and working. And we've worked hard at trying to make sure that both he and I and the company are healthy through this process. And I think we've been very intentional in how we've managed this. So one of the first things we've done with Kyle is we brought in an outside coach for him, somebody that's neutral, that doesn't work for PacMoore in essence. It's an outside party that can listen and coach Kyle, not only in his leadership skills, but also in his issues with me, his issues as a son and as an employee, and how to manage those, how to talk through those. We've brought in outside legal counsel to help us build structure in the company setting through trust and things, so that Kyle's not getting any kind of exorbitant benefit from the financials of the company. He's just an employee with a pay just like everybody else. And so we've worked all that out so that wasn't done in the wrong way. But then we've spent a lot of time building clear expectations around what he could and what he could do and where his path was. And we've started him at the bottom, and I think that was key. Kyle had to be on the floor. He had to work at the bottom. He had to work in the lowest positions and the hardest jobs, and he had to see what those were like, to understand the equipment, to understand the people, to understand what that environment's like, and to really know in his gut what we do and how we do it. And he's done that really well. And it's always been clear to him and to us that he could work his way up, but there was no promise. There's no commitment as to what that top looks like. That's his responsibility. He has to achieve that, and it's important that he achieve what's good for him. The worst thing to do for Kyle is to over-promote him. That's bad for him. It's bad for PacMoore, and so we don't want to do that. You don't want to put somebody in a position to fail by putting them in a position where they can't lead because it's too much for them. You also don't want to pay somebody too much because they'll build their lifestyle around that. And if Kyle needed to leave and find a job with a different company, and he's built his lifestyle around this pay that he can't afford to live the way he used to, that'd be really unhealthy for his family. And so we've put a lot of those guardrails in place to make sure he knows. And then we've also communicated that to the work teams that he's in. So all of our work teams understand what his path is, what his role is, what their job is with him, and where he sits. And so I think we've done a really healthy job of making sure he's integrated, but not viewed as the heir apparent to take over the company no matter what he does or doesn't do. That he has to earn the next right to step up and be promoted. And so we feel good about that process. We feel good about that path forward. My older son is Taylor. Taylor's got his MBA from Vanderbilt. Taylor's working for Microsoft now in their finance group. Taylor's the same way. He has no he would not get handed the baton to start to come run PacMoore. That will never happen. If Taylor wanted to come back and join PacMoore, he'd have to have a position that he'd interview for. There'd have to be a role for him, and he'd have to fit into that space and then earn his way into places that he could fit. And so we've tried to make that clear with our sons. That's their path. There's no right for them to come in here. They have no God-given right that they can just step in and take over. That's just not right for the company. It's not right for the families that work here. And on the same token, we've built the stock for this company into trusts, so that if something happened to Susie and I, our sons would not be wealthy overnight. That would not happen to them. There's a cap on how much money they would receive, because we think the worst thing you can do to young men is to give them too much money. That's a great way to ruin a man's life. And so we're not going to do that to our kids. And so we think that's healthy for PacMoore. PacMoore is in a good, secure place because those stocks are in a good place and they're in a secure mechanism so that the company could survive my demise if that happened, and could move on to go from there. We built a strong management team that runs PacMoore, and that management team is strong and it doesn't need me to lead. And so we've built that so that it could survive a transition if something were to happen to me. So we think we've put the company in a really strong position because we've managed our kids and our leadership in a way that's right for the employees of PacMoore, not the family that runs PacMoore.